Hello, I am Debaprasad Chattopadhyay. My area is human resource management and organization behavior. Out of the present 20 years in management teaching, this is my 11th year in Globson Business School, working here as senior professor and HOD HR. My first 24 years was in the pharmaceutical industry with Merck Sharp and Dome, Organon, and eventually with Dr. Reddy's laboratories in Hyderabad as a divisional manager, training and development. I have worked in various senior capacities, both inland and overseas. I have had my basic education all through in Calcutta. First was my bachelorship with major in chemistry from the Calcutta University. Having completed my BSc with chemistry honors, I successfully completed my postgraduate diploma in business and industrial management. Thereafter, I went on to prosecute my MPhil in HR and organization behavior. And finally, I successfully obtained my doctorate in the field of human resource development and organizational development. In the next couple of minutes, I intend to speak about three things primarily. First, the topics that we cover in human resource management. Second, the utility of covering these topics in HR to a student who is enrolled in PGDM, as how it will benefit him or her in the industry. And finally, what are the advantages of Globson Business School? Rather, studying in Globson Business School, what are the benefits it offers? As against this background, as a preamble, let me start with the first set, that is, what are the topics of human resource management that we teach at Globson Business School? Essentially, this is a 2 years program. The first year, students are exposed to all subjects. We have a semester system. So first year comprises of semester 1 and semester 2, and second year comprises of semester 3 and semester 4. So in first year, semester 1, under the banner of HR, we have one topic which is nomenclated as management functions and organization behavior. It covers 4 things to start with. First is the history and evolution of management thought, followed by the functions of management: planning, organizing, motivating, and controlling. The utility of studying these in industry eventually is that a student gets information on how to plan, how to organize, how to motivate people in his or her team, and how to control. And since the incipient stage, we talk of history and evolution of management thought, we also explain in class that management neither is exclusively science, neither it is exclusive art. So while it is universal in nature, management is both a science and an art. We talk of the contributions of the various authors in the field of management, the various models. So once a student goes through the entire gamut of MFOB, that is the acronym for Management Functions and Organization Behavior, he or she is abreast of how the concept evolved and what are the functions of a manager, what is expected of him or her in the workplace. So management functions and organization behavior is one topic that we address in semester 1 under the area of HR and OB. With particular reference to organization behavior, that is the second part of MFOB, while MF, that is management functions, being the first part, OB primarily deals with 3 aspects. First is the self, the second is the team, and the third is the organization. So talking about self, we discuss things like attitude, we discuss things like values, emotions, moods, perception. When we talk of team, we discuss aspects like group dynamics, team building, communication, interpersonal relation. And when we talk of organization, we address issues like organization design and organization structure, organization development. All these are very important because the student gets to understand that his behavior is different in different settings. He or she behaves differently at home, behaves differently in society, and also behaves differently at the workplace. So this will help students not only to get through at the initial stage while he or she is facing the interview, but also would ensure sustainability. In other words, he or she would be able to work well in the organization and gradually would be able to scale greater heights within successive tiers of management. Because once he or she is equipped with the self part, the team part, and the organization part, the entire picture becomes very clear and lucid to the student. So this is about semester 1, management functions and organization behavior. In semester 2, first year itself, we address human resource management. Human resource management addresses an entire range of topics. It starts with human resource planning or manpower planning, as we say, followed by job analysis, job design, job redesign, and then it goes on to transcend into various subtopics or chapters like recruitment and selection, training and development, performance management, compensation planning, career planning and succession planning, and the other aspects like IR or industrial relation. So the latter part of human resource management deals with topics like trade unions, collective bargaining, discipline, grievance handling. All this will help students to understand the nuances of managing people, how to procure people at the entering stage, how to develop people at the working stage, and how to slow down the process, or rather minimize the rate of attrition, that is procuring people, developing people, and retaining people. So when we talk of human resource management, students at the end, they are well versed with how an HR manager should operate to optimize between the can-do potential and the will-do potential. The can-do potential addresses things like knowledge and skills. The will-do potential addresses things like commitment or attitude. So when we talk of human resources, we actually refer to intellectual capital, which is a composite of two things. One is competence, that is knowledge and skill, and the other is commitment, that is attitude. So in other words, the human resource manager, in this case the student, when he or she takes up a job in HR, would be able to optimize between can-do potential and will-do potential, will be able to do justice to the two functions primarily in HR, that is talent acquisition and talent retention. Side by side at the end, in semester 2 under HR, when the student gets exposed to industrial relations, he or she learns the art of negotiating with unions, understands the nitty-gritties of collective bargaining, of trade unions, of various aspects of labor laws, Industrial Disputes Act, Factories Act, ESI Act, Bonus Act, Gratuity Act. So the utility of studying all this is when the student faces the interview and the interviewer asks, do you know what are the legislations or what are the statutes when it comes to interacting with labor? He or she will be immediately forthcoming on that. Since we talked of managing discipline, grievance handling, he or she will also be able to draft a charge sheet. Just like in HR, the student will be absolutely thorough in conducting a training program, in identifying training needs, in delivering a training program, or would be able under compensation planning to frame a compensation package. Here in IR, the student will understand what are the basics that he or she ought to know when it comes to managing labor and in the process maintain a good industrial climate. So this is so far as first year is concerned, and all the students will find it very useful because HR is not confined only to human resource management. It transcends and it cuts across all the other functional disciplines like marketing, like finance, like information technology, like operations research. So the utility of transmitting all these in classes, that is management functions and organization behavior in semester 1 and human resource management and IR in semester 2, is to give the student an actual feel of what is expected of him or her when he joins a company, when he takes up a job in industry, be it in any domain, be it in any vertical, be it in any discipline. So this is about first year. In the second year, students, they segregate into different verticals. When it comes to the vertical of HR, in semester 3 and semester 4, we have also designed appropriate subjects and corresponding lesson plans through which they get hands-on application of what is HR all about, the application part, not only the knowing part, that is the knowledge part, which they primarily get in first year, but also the doing part, that is skill, because they are also exposed in between to an 8 to 10 to a maximum 12 weeks SIP, summer internship project. So they get a hands-on experience of how to do, how to practice things, what they have learnt in first year while in the actual workplace. When they come back in second year, electives in the HR vertical or HR major includes training and development. Interestingly, training and development sometimes, though erroneously, are used interchangeably. But there is a distinct difference between the four words training, education, development and learning. Whereas training caters to an employee's immediate job needs, education caters to an employee's future job needs. Development caters to an individual's job unrelated needs. That is, it encompasses personality development, it encompasses the right attitude making, etc., etc. And when it comes to learning, learning again is an HR functions which leads to a relatively permanent change in behavior. So under training and development, students come to know not only about the four basic things of training, that is analyzing training needs, designing training programs, delivering training programs, and ultimately evaluating training programs, but additionally, they also come to know of how people learn. Some people may be activists, they may learn through experiences, by doing. Some people might be reflectors, they may learn by reflecting on others' experiences. Some people are theorists, they may learn exclusively through the books. And some people may be pragmatists, that means they may be learning through an admixture, through a combination of these earlier three modes. So in training development, the student gets to know more or less everything about what is training, what is education, what is development, what is learning, the various techniques involved, and therefore the student will be able to actually execute a training program, implement a training program in the actual workplace. That is the utility of having training and development as a subject. We also have another elective or another subject like performance management and competency mapping. Again here, when we talk of performance, statistically put, it is said that P is a function of two things. One is ability and the other is motivation. So generally people tend to confuse performance appraisal and performance management to be one and the same. But here performance refers to productivity, and how to measure productivity, we distinguish between performance appraisal and performance management by saying, that is, whereas performance appraisal is only one part of performance management is holistic and comprehensive in nature, and it includes goal setting, monitoring, mentoring, the actual appraisal, and finally rewards. So the student who is working in a PMS system, performance management system, learns what should be the KRAs, key result areas, or key responsibility areas. What should be the KPIs? That is key performance indicators. What should be the KBQs also? That is key behavioral quotient. So would be in a better position to evaluate an individual's performance in the workplace rather than doing just on the basis of snap judgment. Here performance management, the entire subject, the utility to the student is, would get a precise idea of how merit rating is actually done without being empirical, without being arbitrary. That is the objective. When it comes to the other part of performance management and competency mapping, normally we say the right person for the right job, or the right job for the right person. So competency mapping is an exercise which attempts to ensure ideal fit between organizational requirements and individual attributes. So on one side, the organization would have definite expectations for a particular role. Whether the individuals possess those can be ascertained through competency mapping. And we talk of, again, basically two types of competencies. One is generic competency and the other is functional competencies. Generic competencies are those which one should possess irrespective of the vertical or domain, like communication, like planning, like decision-making skills. But when we talk of functional competencies, these are unique for a particular vertical, for a particular domain. For example, in HR, functional competencies would include knowledge of labor laws, or in marketing, functional competencies would include a thorough information, a thorough understanding, or a thorough knowledge of products. So this is one way of classifying competencies, generic competencies and functional competencies, or alternately in another rhetoric, in another semantics, it could be classified as one, threshold competency, and the other differentiating competency. So again, threshold competency could be decision-making skills. This is something one should possess if he or she has to cross the threshold of getting into a managerial cadre. But there is another thing which is known as differentiating competency. So that talks of, for example, in HR, what is it one should possess? So undoubtedly the quality of empathy or being empathetic. So that is a differentiating competency for HR. In marketing, for example, the differentiating competency would be the ability to influence people. Or in finance, for example, the differentiating competency would be to analyze numbers, to read a balance sheet, to understand a profit and loss statement. So when we talk of competency mapping in class, we try to make the students posted, updated on what are the things one should possess while applying for a given job, so that in the final analysis it should lead to a win-win situation, both win for the company as well as win for the incumbent, that is the aspiring employee who is attempting to come to the organization. So training and development therefore becomes one elective, performance management and competency mapping becomes another elective. Then there are topics like organizational, so this is semester 3. Gradually move to semester 4. Semester 4 predominantly has a project or a dissertation. So it's almost like a thesis. The students have got to work in a company and have got to prepare an actual thesis, an actual dissertation. So it is a confluence of concepts and application. It is an admixture of theory and practice. So at this stage, students are include topics like strategic performance management, or slightly preceding that, topics like organizational development and change management. That is, nothing is permanent, nothing is constant other than change. So how the individual, how the organization can manage change rather than change managing the individual, rather than change managing the organization. And strategic human resource management talks of aligning HR policies with business policies. So HR should not sit on ivory towers and dish out jargons. HR should actually work shoulder to shoulder with the line managers in the workplace, with the other functional experts. So if HR comes initially and talks about change, it is unlikely that people will accept change. But it has to transgress in a cyclic order, starting from being a strategic partner, then becoming an administrative expert, then becoming an employee champion, and then eventually churning out to be a change agent. So at this stage, when he or she advocates a prophecy, when he or she suggests a change, the change is accepted by rank and file. So organizational development and change management, this is very important for an HR student to understand. Similarly, strategic HR human resource management is also very important because it intertwines business along with HR. The HR person also is able to understand how to interpret a balance sheet. In between, there are other electives like compensation structure, like talent acquisition and talent retention. So when we talk of compensation structure, it is how about designing a compensation. While the nitty-gritties, basics of compensation are dealt with in first year, when we talk of HRM, the chapter of compensation planning, special emphasis is laid on what is the contribution in second year, how to design a pay packet and how to evolve a salary sheet, what are the statutory deductions in Provident Fund, how to calculate gratuity, how to calculate ESI for those employees who are eligible or who comes under the ESI Act, or other things related to a CTC. So the student at the end would be very comfortable in designing a salary package or a compensation package. So this is the utility of studying compensation structure in class. When it comes to talent acquisition, talent retention, it is not literally synonymous to recruitment and selection, which are dealt with in first year. Talent acquisition, talent retention, apart from recruitment and selection and human resource planning, also focuses on the aspect of employment branding, or more precisely, employer branding. So what are the things an organization needs to imbibe and needs to inculcate and needs to implement so that a lot of aspirants wish and aspire to join that organization? That is the essence of employer branding. So whenever there is an ad, there will be a rush of applicants, of applications, because the employer, the organization has been able to create a brand persona whereby it elicits a lot of applicants, a lot of applications. So that is the advantage of studying talent acquisition and talent retention. What are the various talent engagement practices whereby people would like to stay on in the organization in terms of quality of work life, how work-life balance can be achieved, or going one step further, how can work and life be integrated? All these are discussed in talent acquisition and talent retention. The last part under HR major or elective in second year is management of IR. While we have talked of industrial relations in its preliminary facets in first year under the topic of HRM, here there is a thorough analysis of topics like collective bargaining, trade union, managing discipline, grievance handling, and each, for that matter, the mostly applicable labor laws, the legislations, the bare acts are dealt with. So when a student gets into an interview stage, the utility of studying management of IR is not only at the eventual stage of working, but at the entry stage also, when they are asked about what are the statutes or compliance aspects that he or she studied, the student is immediately forthcoming on the various legislations. And while he or she actually starts working in the organization, would also be able to apply all that he or she has learnt in the IR class into actual practice. So in the last couple of minutes, I have attempted to discuss about the subject, that is human resource management, the various facets, the various subtopics that we address in human resource management. I have also addressed the other part, that is how it benefits the student working in a company, the utility of studying human resource management in industry. Now I come to the final part, that is what are the advantages, uniqueness of Globsin Business School. Globsin Business School, the forte, as its forte, has IT, information technology. So we have ensured that information technology cuts across all the various aspects of our academic delivery. So we have something called e-Globsin, that is electronic Globsin. So the moment a student enrolls, he or she is provided with a password and an email ID, so he or she can navigate into e-Globsin, and there he or she would find all the study material stored there. And essentially we go about in an academic delivery in a three-pronged approach. First is what we call PQ, that is preparatory questions. Now in this PQ, that is preparatory questions, a student is expected and is also advised to go through what are the scheduled topics to be discussed in a pre-scheduled class the next day. These topics are given in the form of small case studies or caselets, and there are various questions given at the end of the case. So when the facilitator or the faculty comes at the next level in class, he or she would not just, the faculty would just not unfold the theory, would start in a more collaborative way with the students by discussing who were the characters involved in the case, what were the problems all about, and how do you intend to redress those problems. In the process, through a collaborative approach, not a monologue but a dialogue, the faculty, that is the facilitator, and the students work very conscientiously across the analysis of the case, the problem identification, how the problems can be mitigated, and finally, in a 90-minute session, 30 minutes the case analysis, 30 minutes about the problems, how to be addressed, and the last 30 minutes the faculty would unfold with the PPTs, the PowerPoint presentation, the actual nuances, the actual concepts of the class or the topic. So the student goes back and would be abreast of all the proceedings, because everything is stored in the e-Globsin, would revise those and would be fully equipped for the examination. So, three-pronged approach. The first approach is PQ or preparatory questions related to those caselets. The second is the actual class delivery. And the third is the fortnightly assessment. So, fortnightly assessment in the form of true, false, yes, no, fill in the blanks question. Every 15 days, the students will be exposed to tests, and thereby the students also will be able to reflect as to how he or she has grasped all the nuances of what has been taught, and all these ratings would go into computing his or her CGPA, that is cumulative grade point average. So while first year there are mid-semester and end semester exam, in second year there are end semester exams. So all this would take into consideration what have been discussed in class, and through case studies, through real projects, and through class participation, class discussions, we would actually be computing the CGPA of a particular student. So this is the Globsin way. The first is PQ, the second is class delivery, the third is fortnightly assessment. This is when we are talking of the scholastic or the curricular part. But in Globsin, we intend to ensure that a student becomes a complete person. Management education should be replete of left brain education or left brain learning, and as well as right brain learning. So whereas left brain learning talks of analytical things like statistics, like quantitative techniques, like finance, right brain talks of primarily things which are emotion based, like moods, like attitudes, etc. So here is where HR and organization behavior comes into relevance. So the three things, the knowing part, that is the knowledge, the doing part, that is the skills, and the being part, that is the attitude, is also taken care of in his or her 2 years at Globsin. With particular reference to the being part, it is very interesting to note that we have two subjects. One is PGW in first year, that is Personal Growth Workshop. Again, it is divided into three parts. One is managing self, the other is managing interpersonal relation, and the third is working effectively in organization. And in second year, there is a topic, this has come from my own PhD research area, that is spirituality in management. Here, spirituality is totally divorced from religiosity. Here, spirituality revolves around care, compassion, selfless service, transcendence, altruism, so unconditioned love. So here is where the being part is taken care of a student. This is all about right brain learning. Thereby it makes a student a complete person, a complete man or a complete woman after 2 years of study. Still in the academic phase, I would like to mention about three connects. One is the corporate connect. While we bring our respective industry examples in class, while we blend theory and practice, in the corporate connect, we also invite present senior practicing managers from the level of general managers and above, vice president, presidents, MD. They come and they would address topics on a particular subject. Suppose I am talking of achievement, motivation, or team building. So the ITC colleague, the senior manager comes, talks about team building the ITC way. Again, achievement, motivation, the ITC way. The students get a flavor of both worlds. That means the academic part, the academicians, industry exposures, examples, and also presently being practiced, the best practices in the blue chip companies. So this is corporate connect. We have academic connect. We bring reputed faculty members, both nationally as from the international canvas. They come in a block teaching mode. They would be addressing students 5 days, 7 days, and they would be dealing with certain topics. So that is another dimension, what we call academic connect. And finally, the knowledge connect, whereby we invite cherry-picked icons who have established themselves and gained area of preeminence in their respective fields. They come and deliver. So the students get exposed to corporate connect, academic connect, and knowledge connect. This makes the entire curricular activity holistic, comprehensive. However, we have something very unique which Globsin offers, that is the concept of beyond education. So we believe that curricular is one part, but it should be complemented with co-curricular. So here we have beyond education. Beyond education, we have many things. For example, first is KYLF, Kalyani Youth Leadership Forum. Kalyani, the mother of our chairman, Mr. Bikram Dasgupta, BDG sir. So under the Kalyani Youth Leadership Forum, or KYLF, this banner, students, we are tied up with 3 old age homes. We go to Tollygunj Old Age Homes, we go to St. Joseph's Old Age Homes, we go to Barwipur Old Age Homes, and we celebrate certain occasions like birthdays. So these inmates, they themselves have forgotten their own birthdays. So when we go, we try to touch human lives by trying to celebrate their birthdays with a piece of cake, singing, dancing with the inmates. And these are senior people in age. Tears roll down their cheeks. It becomes so emotional, and ultimately they get joy. This is what is unconditional love all about. So this is KYLF, which comes under beyond education. We distribute apparels, we distribute clothes on certain Red Letters Day. It increases the emotional bondage between us and all these people who need to be made happy. So this is one part. We have other things like what we call Embryon. So aspiring students who would like to be entrepreneurs, budding entrepreneurs. So Embryon is a platform, Embryon is a forum which provides them that opportunity. Various projects are given. They come and they showcase their own ideas, they showcase their own products and services which they have conceived. So Embryon is again another arm of beyond education. Then we have GMC, that is Globsin Management Conference. This is an annual conference. So here in Globsin Management Conference, students are expected along with other contributors to write papers, articles, and ultimately we compile a journal, GMJ, Globsin Management Journal. So thereby the students network both with practitioners from the industry as well as academicians, and they showcase their talent. Then we have again another unique event called Serendipity. Serendipity is not a fest, but it is an annual event of the institute. Serendipity is a live project which dovetails HR, which dovetails marketing, which dovetails IT, which dovetails finance, operations. Everything is done and managed by the students. So ultimately, when they project Serendipity for 2 days, the first day, we have many themes and sub-themes like Corporate Summit, where industries people come. We have Battle Royal, we have Mock Parliament, wherein we have intra and inter-school debates, etc. So it makes networking very strong. It makes cross-fertilization of learning very strong. So this is about Serendipity, the first day. And in the first day itself, or sometimes in the second day, depending upon the occasion, it is a wonderful opportunity to pay respect, pay homage to revered parents. The students, for the very first time, they become host to their parents by offering them dinner. And they also stage cultural programs. It is orchestrated and it is prepared over a month or more. And thereby on the final D-Day, the students, they stage this cultural program, and parents, they are overwhelmed to see their ward's performance. So this is one aspect which also helps to develop a student. So I talked about Serendipity. I talked about Globsin Management Conference, Globsin Management Journal. I talked about Kalyani Youth Leadership Forum. I talked about Embryon. We have also a very strong alumni network. Now, with more than 2,700 alumni, our alumni base, our alumni network stands bolstered, is very strong. So alumni, they come and network with the students. We also address students. And the other part is that is we have a mega event once a year with alumni. Very recently, in the last alumni get-together, in the last alumni meet, we had Dr. Montek Singh Ahluwalia and his wife, Dr. Ishar Singh Ahluwalia, both being noted economists. They came and they delivered their oration. That is the impact of digitalization on the Indian economy. We also have certain other things like, for example, Globsin Annual Lecture Series. Now in the Globsin Annual Lecture Series, which we call GALS, many people of preeminence, starting from Mr. Sharu Ragnekar, Mr. Narayan Murthy, Mr. Hemant Kanoria, Mr. Pawar of NIT, then Mr. C.S. Ghosh of Bandhan Bank, they have come and they have addressed, they have deliberated. So all this again increases industry-institute interface. All this makes learning wholesome. So when we talk of beyond education, these are the various aspects of beyond education. Apart from that, we also take students for study tours. We also take students for industrial visits. So we take them for study tour to Jamshedpur, the various Tata Group company. This has almost become an annual event. Students, they stay 3 days, 4 days, 3 nights, 4 days or 4 days, and they move across the different Tata units. They get exposed to both on the shop floor working practices. At the same time, attend classes by various head of HRs and senior managers of HRs of Tata Group, the very different practices of HR, how it is implemented and executed in Tata Group. They come back rejuvenated. They come back, re-energized, how things happen in industry. So this is how we go about when we talk of beyond education. In the final analysis, it is ultimately curricular as well as co-curricular, which is the fulcrum on which Globsin's pedagogy rests. on which Globsin uniqueness rests, I sincerely invite all of you to please come and be a part of this wonderful journey of 2 years. And for me, as a faculty, it gives me immense satisfaction when I continue to network with students and they continue to be in touch with me year after year, and they say, sir, we are working in some of the best companies in India and abroad. That gives us a lot of joy to the institute as a whole and to the faculty as an individual in particular. Thank you so much. অনেকক্ষণ বলে ফেললাম বোধহয়। এবার তুমি এডিট করে নিয়ে এইবার আরেকবার এন্টার টিপে দাও, আমি ওটা টিপে দিয়েছি।